guys, welcome to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm Pannon.
And I'm Fire.
And I'm David.
Yay! Welcome to the show. As always, if you guys want to reach out, contact us, give us ideas for new episodes, just tell us how you're doing during this pandemic and how you're crafting at home. Send us horror stories. You can do all of that at our email address, which is cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
go to the website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, and fill out the googly Google form, or
go to our Facebook page. Send us a message there. While you're there, join our Facebook group where you can join in our Work in Progress Wednesdays and you get to see what everyone else is working on. And while you're on the internet, if you would be so kind to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever they let you leave those reviews, those help us out a lot and we love to hear your feedback. And if you want to continue helping us out and if you're in a good place too, you can always throw us a couple of bucks on our Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch, or our coffee, KOFI, and then cosplay stitch.
yay! Remember, the first Sunday of the month is our Patreon event for Cosplay Stitch. You can check it out January 3rd. It'll be Sunday at 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time if you want to catch up with our I cannot do that. If you want to catch up with our Cosplay Chronicles.
Cosplay Chronicles.
Oh, too many C's at once.
Crispy Cosplay Chronicles.
So we are very excited today to bring you one of the guests who is a prolific member of our Facebook group. We're happy to welcome Melbourne Superman, Andrew. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Andrew.
Hey, everyone. Look, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's actually funny listening to that intro. I forgot for a second that I was supposed to be here talking with you guys. I thought I was like listening to an episode. I'm like, oh, that's right. I have to do things now.
You get to be part of it.
I know. It's so exciting. So as you said, I'm Melbourne Superman. Of course, I cosplay for the most part a Superman character. I've been cosplaying unofficially, I guess, for as long as I can remember. I mean, I was the kid who had the towel around my neck, running around to the John Williams score.
Nice, yeah.
I mean, I say kid, but like I do that now. But the difference is my cape is just more expensive now. That's all.
Right.
So I've been doing that for years, and I guess I kind of brought it to the public eye maybe less than a year ago, and obviously that was my Melbourne Superman Instagram. I've kind of also taken up onto Vero, which is a newer thing. Basically on Vero, I just post the same exact thing as Instagram, so there's nothing special there. It's just a different platform, and I guess one of my fellow cosplayers, EPC cosplay was the kind of catalyst for me to bring it out into the public because maybe 8 years ago I sold off my Superman costumes because I needed the money, and so I stopped kind of doing the whole cosplay thing. And
that's always a bummer.
Yeah, it was really sad kind of stuff for me. And it was just like, and so for the last 8 years, like kind of at least once a month, I'd be like, I wish I still had those back. And so when I met EPC, sort of she kind of, she has helped work on a film that I am working on with my friends based on the character of Impulse. And she kind of encouraged me to start up again. So as luck would have it, I contacted the people that I had originally sold my costumes to, and they still had them all. And they were, they were looking to sell them, and it just worked out really well. Shout out to them. They're under Melbourne, Kylo, and Ray, I think. So they do cosplay as well. And so they basically, over the course of a few months, I bought them all back. And the rest is history. So I've gotten into that cosplay world. I was able to get those costumes back, and it's been a really wild ride. And it's just been so much fun, and to experience the cosplay really community, because even though I quote and unquote cosplayed, I never actually did it publicly. So I never really had met anybody or been to a con or anything. So now that I'm actually experiencing all that, I'm just like, oh, wow, man, where has this been all my life?
No, that's a really cool story. I'm glad you were able to get those costumes, that, and so sad that you had to miss them for so long, but I'm glad it had a happy ending.
Well, it totally did. And I'm kind of like making up for it now because I've just gone a little bit crazy. And so over the past few months, I've purchased like way too many new Superman suits that that I probably shouldn't have, but I don't even care. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that you got like a workshop together. You got all that foam. You just got your first sewing machine.
Yeah, I'm like going to try to make stuff now too. So I'm really just getting into it.
Very awesome.
Super excited
So
to see all that.
I'm going to take a wild guess that Superman is your favorite. Do you have a specific one that you like the best?
Absolutely, yeah. So Christopher Reeve, he has always been my Superman. My first memory of watching a movie was Superman, the movie with Christopher Reeve, and he's just like, he is to me Superman. I love Henry Cavill, I love Tyler Hoechlin, I love Dean Cain, all those guys, but when I think Superman, and I'd be hard pressed to find anybody over the age of, say, 25, 30, who when you say Superman, they don't immediately think of Christopher Reeve.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's just, he's like, man, he's the embodiment, I think. Just amazing to me, Superman.
That is awesome. I love that.
So
Sorry, Mercedes, I keep cutting you off.
I know. Jeez, Brandon. How dare. On that
Rude.
note, I want to hop into today's topic. So to the topic today, it's very, very important. Pop-Tarts.
Let's do it, man. Like Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts are my go-to.
No, Mercedes actually brought that to me as the topic, and I was like, you know what? I could tell you about that, because there was a whole movement in the 90s with Pop-Tarts and Sailor Moon.
Oh, mate. Like, to me, the age-old debate of strawberry Pop-Tarts, frosted or unfrosted, go.
No.
Frosted.
Frosted, totally frosted.
Yeah.
See, I don't even like fruit Pop-Tarts. I only go with like the s'mores ones.
It's gotta be strawberry.
I love the s'mores ones. Those are good. I remember
So
when those
good.
first came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Back in the day.
Back in the day, showing my age, rock and roll.
So, Mercedes, what is our actual topic?
So yes, our actual topic. I had to do the Pop-Tarts thing because when I sent Andrew here a question of like, what do you want to talk about? He's like, I'll talk about Pop-Tarts.
That's not all I said. Let's be fair.
I know it was not all you said, but it was in there, and I was like, this is gonna happen.
Nice.
So cosplay and like the whole like experience and whatnot can have very different results for a lot of different people out there. It can be a very positive community or it can be a very toxic community depending on where you're at. And so with your incredibly positive social media presence, I actually want to talk about cosplay positivity on not just in person, but also on social media and just how to cultivate that in the community around us.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Let's get crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get positive. Yay.
Let's get positive.
So,
Positive.
Andrew, I'm really curious, like, what drove you to start having an online presence with your cosplay? And what do you feel like, I don't know, how did positivity help you to kind of grow through cosplay?
Yeah. So, okay. So I'll backtrack a little bit. So I run a podcast myself called Breaking the Barrier, and it's about mental health and fitness and motivation and positivity, of course. And so when I decided to do the Melbourne Superman, to be honest, it was always just going to be something that, okay, I'm going to just dress up and take kind of cool pictures and stuff. And then I started thinking, well, we live in this climate right now where hope is something that everybody needs. And it's something that is so scarce right now, whether it's COVID or whether it's the state of, say, if you're living in the United States, the divide between people. It's
Oh, definitely.
yeah, it's crazy. People just need that positivity. And so as my account started to grow, I started thinking, well, why don't I try to make this a bit of an extension of Breaking the Barrier and actually move more toward this as Breaking the Barrier. And, because the more and more people started interacting and engaging with my posts, I was like, you know what? It funnily enough goes to a Spider-Man reference, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Right.
So if you have the ability to do something, you should feel the responsibility to do something. So I started getting, of course, more into the cosplay community. And I did see that there were posts about body image issues and bullying and people not being sure of, posting pictures of themselves in these cosplays because, people have told them that maybe they don't have the right body type or the right look or whatever. And so I started just doing these little stories that just started out as a positive idea every day. And whether that be, think of 5 positives in your day, or think of something that you want and gravitate it towards you. And I just kind of started turning it into that. And I was like, you know what, there's something to this, because to me, there's nothing more amazing than somebody reaching out and saying, hey man, I saw this post today. It made my day. I don't care if one person says that to me. I don't care if 1,000 people say that to me. To me, that's change. That's a positive thing. And I think that if more people can try to do that, I mean, that will just create a chain reaction of much more positivity. And I know it's kind of naive to say I'm going to change the world, but you know what? It starts with one thing. And that one thing should be, let's be positive toward each other. Let's encourage each other to do great things. Everybody listening should know that they can do great things, and it doesn't matter the people that tell them no. It matters what they think within themselves.
Definitely.
I love that.
No, I really like that mindset. On that note of trying to keep that positive attitude, how would you say you deal with negative comments? That have you seen that a lot online? I think you mentioned that as one of your first posts in our group.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that cosplayers have, is that everyone's always quick to put them down, and so it's always nice to hear different points of view on how to handle those.
Yeah, and for me, again, I hate throwing this word around, and I know that it might seem quote unquote naive, that's the word, but whenever I see somebody who is negative like that, to me, my first thought is, there's something missing in your life that you have to feel the need to trash on somebody else. And I mean, it doesn't matter what the excuse is, it's not okay to do that. If you're one of those people out there, I think I said this in the story about it, stop it, don't do it. And if you're doing it, figure out why you're doing it. But I think the best way to deal with that I found, I have a 0 tolerance policy for negativity in my posts. So if I see something that's negative, I will delete it. I won't even contact that person. I don't need it. I'll delete it. I'll block it. It's somebody, who has started saying nice things and then starts messaging me with weird stuff. I'm just like, dude, we have had a pretty cool social media relationship. So I'm just telling you now, I have a 0, a 0 tolerance policy for this stuff. So either fix it or, be on your way. But I think for a lot of us, I would dare say that a lot of it comes from jealousy or just somebody thinking that they're better than somebody else because, oh, look at this person cosplaying Superman. Maybe he doesn't have, a 12-pack rippling set of abs, right? I think on one of your podcasts, one of the guests I was listening to, I can't remember, but it was just you know what? The reality is nobody looks like that.
Right.
Even the people, and this is again quote from one of your guests, this isn't my idea, but even the people who look like that don't really look like that because it's impossible. And so, dealing with that negativity, you just got to be you know what? I know the best way to do it is just be you know what? That person obviously has something missing. This has less to do with me and more to do with them. And it might not make it okay, but it might help just that little bit if you're experiencing it.
Totally.
That's a really good mindset to have. This actually wasn't on our list, but you mentioned a couple times break the barrier. I'm curious what that means.
Yeah. So my podcast, Breaking the Barrier, is basically, it started out as just a documentary that I was going to film. So 3 years ago? Oh, 3 years ago. Okay. I ran a marathon for the first time ever. And training for that thing. So there's a saying by Emil Zatopek, and it goes, if you want to run a mile. If you want to change your life, run a marathon. And it's so true. because I come from a place of I've had a poor relationship with food. I've had a poor relationship with fitness and nutrition. I've come from the anorexia. I've come from the bulimia. I've come from the morbidly obese and yo-yo diet. Like there was a few years where I yo-yoed from 240 pounds down to 180 pounds, 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And when I trained for this marathon, I was starting to sort of find myself a little bit more grounded as a fitness and nutrition lifestyle person, right? And so as I was doing this, I found out so much about myself in the sense that as hard as something seems, if you put in that training and you go through those hard yards, you can come out of it on the other side. And if you just put your mind to it, if you just accept that it's going to be hard, like acceptance to me and acknowledgement to me are two really big ideas. Like if you just accept and acknowledge that it's going to be hard, it's going to be something that you can come to terms with the fact that you have to do. And I set myself this goal of running this marathon. It was a tough time. I went through a breakup during that time, a relationship of like 6 years, but I suffered a lot in terms of different things that were happening, but I kept to that training and it really did change my life. So I wanted to share that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to share that experience with the world. And I was like, you know what? I listen to podcasts. It seems easy. It's not.
Thank you. I feel validated.
I mean, yeah.
Validation for David.
Yeah. Well, David, if you're the one that edits these things, I take my hat off to you. Because I've actually over the course of the last few years, with my podcast, I've gone from editing every little thing to, do you know what? I'm just going to let it ride and whatever happens, happens. But I wanted to share my journey. And so I just got a mic for my computer and I just started talking. And that first episode was just me talking about my experience. And then through the course of the next almost 100 episodes and 50 to 60, 70 mini episodes, whatever, I morphed that into, well, let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about breaking through barriers of what you think is possible and go above and beyond what you ever thought possible, which of course is the tagline to the podcast. So it's been a really awesome journey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I have my co-host now who joined me at about episode 60, I think. And we just have a great time. And we talk about everything. We talk about fitness, nutrition, mindset. We even do mini episodes of the Mandalorian episode reviews and stuff.
Nice.
I'm enjoying that show so much.
Dude, Jedi was best episode ever. I'm making the call.
Okay, no, for real though.
Seriously, did you watch Rebels and Clone Wars? Did you get into that stuff?
I actually am not a Star Wars fan.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's crazy.
And so, so the point that I am like, whoa, Mandalorian, is like, now I kind of want to get into Clone Wars.
Do it.
Because nice.
Do it. There's so many things that you're going to appreciate. Like I can't. It's so good. So that's what we do. We just talk about anything and everything. Sometimes I get a little bit more passionate, and that's when the cursing happens, and I'm just like, oh wow, I cursed a lot in that episode. So that's a lot of fun. So I don't advocate the episodes per se on my Melbourne Superman page. I'll point people to it every now and then, but it's kind of like separate from Melbourne Superman, but it's also very much part of Melbourne Superman because that's really where the idea started.
Very cool.
So that was the long-winded answer. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm curious, and it really affects like your mindset and that positivity, and it tells me where it all comes from. So I appreciate it.
Right on.
One of the things you mentioned was like when it comes to negativity and things that bring us down is like we don't necessarily know what's going on in the head of someone who decides to say something nasty. But also that cosplay is a very different experience for everyone. And I feel like at least at the root of some of the toxicity I've seen has been like a misunderstanding between different experiences. And I'm just curious if you have any advice on how we can be more understanding of those around us and like why they might choose to cosplay or not cosplay or cosplay specific characters or different ways, or maybe they're more into acting, maybe they're more into craftsmanship.
Yeah, look, I think cosplay is something very personal to each and every person. For me, it started out as, because I'm an actor, it started out as something to build a profile, but then now it's morphed into something even greater than that in terms of spreading positivity. For somebody down the street, it could be, something that is just personal in the sense that they look at themselves one way, but when they dress up as this character, they see themselves as somebody else. And to them, that's amazing. And then there's everything in between. I think when people see cosplayers, and I will say that there are fully clothed cosplayers, because here you can't talk about cosplay without talking about this, right? There's fully clothed cosplayers, and then there's not so much clothed cosplayers. And
sure,
here's the deal with that: it's like both are fine. Like if you're somebody who wants to show off your body and you're proud of that and that makes you feel good, like more power to you. If you're somebody who wants to wear like 75 pounds of foam and armor and stuff, dude, more power to you. And that's what people I think fail to understand sometimes, especially when they look at the more risque costumes kind of thing and builds, is that not necessarily are they doing it because they want to be quote and unquote sexual or even, I hate this word, but slutty. I don't like that word, but that's what sometimes people will look at it as. And that's not the case. Like I look at stuff like that and I'm like, you obviously want to show off your body because you're proud of something, or you're just, that makes you feel strong, dude. And that's great. And I think the more people that understand that cosplay is personal to each and every cosplayer, that somebody dressing up as Superman doesn't have to conform to your idea of what that should be. And a cosplayer doesn't have to conform to what rules that you follow. That's the thing, is each person has their own individual journey that they're on. And it's not up to you to judge that. I mean, we're all human, right? We're all going to judge what we see. But for people to lash out in a negative way, it's like, that's not really your place. Nobody asked you to do that. Nobody asked for your opinion. I'm cosplaying because I want to show something that I'm proud of, not because I necessarily, of course, there's validation involved. We all go on social media and we want to be validated to some extent or another.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, each cosplayer is going to put themselves out there for their reason. And if you don't like it, like, move on, dude. One of my life coaching clients, he puts it beautifully. He always says, dude, it costs nothing to mind your business.
I like that.
That's
a lot.
great one. Oh my gosh.
He's my favorite.
That is awesome.
So
yeah, that's definitely one of like the most frustrating things I hear is like someone looking at a specific type of cosplay and being like, well, that doesn't count as cosplay. And I'm like, but it is cosplay. Yeah. It makes them happy. Like that. End of sentence.
It does count.
Like I can put on a burgundy turtleneck and call myself Ron Burgundy, and that is cosplay, man.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't have to like spend thousands of dollars. I don't have to spend hours and hours. Closet cosplay is like my favorite thing to see because it just shows me how ingenuitive. That's a word, right? Ingenuitous.
It is now.
I will take it.
How creative people can be with just stuff that they have around the house. I'm like, dude, I would have never thought to put that cosplay together with like that old shirt or that old belt buckle or something. And I think anything is cosplay that you want it to be. And just because, like I said before, just because somebody doesn't agree with that doesn't mean that it's not what you want it to be.
Yeah.
No, I really like that.
Ingenious.
Oh, thank you.
Ingenious.
I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany. If you haven't seen Anchorman,
oh, no.
You don't get that.
No, I totally play a mean jazz flute.
Nice.
So.
There you go.
And I also love Lamp.
That was fun.
Nice.
Oh, man. But I digress.
So, no, you're good. Sorry that like so much of this is like, here's a negative situation. How do you deal? But I feel like a lot of the time when you run into these problems online or you're feeling bullied or trapped, that's the first thing you want to know is like, this is happening. What do I do? Who can I reach out to? What do I say? How do I handle the situation? You know, all of the above. So one of the things I see a lot, like whether it's comparing maybe like sexy cosplay to, like you were saying, an armored cosplay, or just like two of the same character, like two different Supermans, like comparisons can be hurtful. And when someone puts your cosplay against someone else or the other way around, how do you handle that?
That is why I do my collaboration posts, believe it or not. So a couple months ago, I started doing, I'll call it an initiative because that sounds very Avengers-ish.
I love it.
So I put together an initiative to do collaboration posts with people. And the reason that I started that was because I wanted to sort of start networking with people, and I wanted to sort of share the quote unquote wealth of my reach and get people out there, but also because there's those comparisons, right? So, you know, it's my answer to anybody who is telling me not that, you know, say, for example, this cosplayer is better than you. I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to reach out to this cosplayer. I'm going to work with him or her and shove it down your throat because, you know, I'll show you what we're made out of. Just because you believe something doesn't mean that, you know, this person is better than me or I'm better than them. So, you know, I started doing collaboration posts so that I could bring cosplayers together, even if it's just a small, you know, portion of us, because there's always going to be people to make that comparison. And you know what? The truth is, I don't want to be the same as somebody else. I don't want to be the same as, say, I don't know, Super Sam cosplay or cosplay Chris or any of the other Superman cosplays. Superman, Jake Fogg, a good buddy of mine. I don't want to be the same as them because they have their own style. And if you're telling me that I'm not the same as them, then dude, that's great. Because if you tell me that I'm the same as another cosplayer, then I'm like, well, that's kind of boring. Like, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
And most of the time, well, a lot of the times, those sort of comments come from people who don't actually cosplay themselves. Like, my answer to that sometimes is like, oh, is this what you, like, you're a this and that and the other thing. I'm like, oh yeah, well, what did you do today? I inspired like 1,600 people. What'd you do?
No, I absolutely love the style thing because that's actually what we brought up on our episode last week. Because last week we talked about jealousy and cosplay and how to handle that emotion. And like, again, everyone's got their own style. You've got something that's uniquely you that you're putting into your costume.
That's it.
And I love celebrating that. And I'm so happy that someone else brought it up too.
No, it's absolutely true. Like, I've had a couple of Superman cosplayers that reach out to me and are like, dude, I'm never going to be able to afford like the suits that you get. Will I ever be good? And my answer to them is always like, yes, you already are. Like, it doesn't matter the style of the S that's on your chest. It matters what's underneath, brother. Like, you don't need to have a $10,000 costume. Like, do something that you love and put it out there, and people will love it because you love it and you're passionate. If you care, other people will too. And if they don't, then they're not the audience for you, and that's okay. There's like many people in the world, you know? So
right.
There you go.
So we've talked a little bit about like how to deal with outward negativity coming in on us. I did want to talk about like some of our inner demons here are the things that bring us down that come from us, like being too caught up on like perfectionism or getting burned out and things like that.
Mental health.
Yay.
Yeah, very important. I mean, I think things like perfectionism can help you improve when you're like looking up different ways to make things or ways to build your body better or ways to be more healthy. But it can also be something that can get you down. And I mean, we talked about comparison, and that's definitely a factor. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Ways to cope with it or use it? Or
yeah, look, I think striving to be something greater is always a good thing. But and it's funny. Actually, I've just finished today my ebook that I've been working on for a couple of years.
Ooh.
oh,
Thank
congrats.
you. And one of the last paragraphs, one of the sections in one of the last chapters is talking all about, consistency and discipline versus obsession, right? So,
Ooh.
Yeah.
like, strive to be perfect, strive to be that perfect version of yourself, but you've got to be careful with obsession. For example, I try to make sure that on my Instagram page, I'm spreading some kind of positivity to random accounts every day. Like if I don't sort of just leave something positive, just a positive comment on somebody that I don't know on their post, at least like 50 to 100 times throughout the day, I get bummed out. But then I've got to sort of talk to myself and be like, well, dude, you can't be spending hours and hours on Instagram because it's not, it will burn you out. As much as I love going onto somebody's post and just like trying to leave, matter of fact, Scotty B over at Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary, he kind of advocates 4 words or more when you comment on somebody's post. And so that's what I try to do. I try to make sure that I am very thoughtful in what I comment. And sometimes, like on my own posts, I can only say thank you so much, in so many different ways. So in that sense, do you know what I mean? Like, and in that sense, I'll make sure that I try to at least take in that comment and be as personal as I can where I can, but I'll notice every comment and take everything in. And that takes a lot of time. Like, it takes a lot of time to do that. And you do strive to be perfect at it. You do strive. Did I reply to this comment fast enough? Did I like enough comments today? Do I look good in my suit? Is my ab popping that normally doesn't like, and you have to come to grips with the fact that, and it's a hard truth. It's a hard reality, but none of us will ever strive. None of us will ever be perfect. It is what it is. Right. And we will never be 120% satisfied with what we see in the mirror or what we feel every day. I mean, some of us maybe, and, more power to you. But I dare say that close to 100% of people, especially in the cosplay community, will have something that they're not so much negative about, but self-conscious about. And when that happens, the best thing that I can tell you is that it's okay. Like, just know that it's okay to not be perfect, because that's what makes your journey beautiful. And that's what makes your journey amazing. Because if we were all perfect, dude, there'd be no room for improvement. There'd be no room for that journey. Failure is a good thing.
The journey is better than the destination. Exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes getting to the destination, you just want to get there. But
yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but perfection isn't perfect, because it doesn't allow room for improvement, and that's where the magic happens. So, I mean, just something as simple as looking at your first Instagram post or podcast. Let's talk about podcast. Taking a look at your first podcast episode to your latest podcast episode. And you can just look at that and listen to that and just be like, wow, that's growth. That's
it sure is.
Right? Dude, I listened to my first podcast and I'm like, what was I on? Like, I sound like I was drugged out and high or something because I was talking so slow. I don't do drugs, so I don't know what that was about.
No.
But it over the course of the couple of years, I got more comfortable with it. And you look back and you can be proud of that. And that's growth. Be okay with not being perfect, because striving for perfection, that's great. But actually realistically thinking that it's going to happen, be careful. Be consistent, be disciplined, be steadfast to your goals and your dreams, but don't be obsessive. If it's something that you will freak out about or panic about. Like if you're missing something, if it takes you longer than 5 minutes to get back to that person that replied to that comment and you're freaking out about it, there's something that you need to address. Because that's not great.
You want to still keep your mental health healthy while doing the thing that's supposed to be making you happy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly, because it's got to make you happy. If it's not making you happy and it's making you freak out, then that's that's a problem.
Hey, I don't need you attacking me like this, all right? Like, I came here for a great interview. This is our show.
Sorry, man. Just taking over.
So, with the pandemic and everything, I think one of the things people have struggled with the most right now, and you mentioned it a little bit with your social media, is burnout. It just gets to be so much. You get in your own head. How do you fight that, and how do you help others?
Yeah, so I mean, in many ways, obviously, this pandemic has been awful. In many ways, it's been a blessing to some people. You know, finding the time that you never thought you had to work on those things that you've always wanted to work on, and people have either taken advantage of that or they haven't. You know, that's a whole other ball of wax. But the people that have started really taking advantage of it, yeah, it is a danger to experience that burnout because, you know, one of the best things in the world to say is, well, what else do I have to do? But also one of the scariest things to say is, well, what else do I have to do? So, you know, you can go, right? Like all of a sudden it's like 4 a.m. and I'm still playing Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 on my computer. And I'm like, oh man.
I feel very called out right now.
I've been playing so much Sky. Take a drink, David.
Oh, dude.
All right.
It's just ridiculous. But one of the things that I really recommend to people, I recommend this to my clients, I recommend this to my friends, and even people watching my Instagram, is looking into mindfulness. And mindfulness is something that can help you, even if it's a few minutes a day, just to like ground yourself and just be for a little bit. It's different from, say, meditation. All you're doing is you just take a few minutes out of your day and you just focus on your breath. You make sure that there's no distractions around. If there are distractions coming from outside, like a car or kids playing, you kind of teach yourself to acknowledge what's happening and just let it go and then come back to your breath. And just like a few minutes of that every day or every couple of days can really make like all the difference in the world. Because when we live in this, and I say this phrase a lot, but we live in this weird and wonderful world of technology and, you know, social media where it's so easy to never turn off because we have these phones, we have these computers, we have these TVs, and we never just be anymore. So it's so important to do that. And it's so important to just get away from those things, have some point in your day to just turn off, focus on that breath, and get away from it all because it'll recharge you. Just be. It's just, it can make a lot of difference because you're right. In this pandemic, you know, especially people working from home, I know a lot of people who work from home that have found that because they're working from home, they're not only putting in the hours that they're expected to put in, but because it's so easy to access their work, they're putting in more and more hours. And it's like, well, hang on. Like, you don't need to be working 24 hours a day just because it's there. Like, turn off for a little bit, practice mindfulness, you know, do something that doesn't mean anything. I mean, even watching TV, like, don't even watch TV for a couple minutes. Just do nothing. Just let yourself be.
And that is so stinking hard for me to do.
It's true.
It's so hard. It's amazing how hard doing nothing actually is.
I know.
It's true because you just have this like go, go, go mindset. And if you're not doing something, you should be feeling bad.
Like
and it can be so hard to get away from that.
That's a really good point. Like you can actually start to feel guilt. Like, and I'm talking.
Have you guys talked to my therapist? Stop it now.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you about that. Sorry.
Dang it.
But it's like you can even feel guilty about not starting the new episode of like Lost or something. It's like you always feel like you have to be doing something. It's like, oh, I have time. Maybe I should start this new show. It's like, well, just chill. It's cool. It's fine.
Nice.
I think it's the big thing. Tell myself, it's fine.
It's fine. That's right.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, Andrew, I cannot believe how the time has flown. This was a really fun episode. Is there a positive note you want to leave us on before we wrap up?
Yeah, look, I think just for everybody out there listening, just try to stay positive. I mean, as cliche as try to stay positive. One of the best ways that you can do that is to spread that to other people, especially in the cosplay community. Take a couple minutes out of every day and just say something nice to somebody that you don't know and create that chain effect, because we live in a world where people need that. Have a goal in your day to try and make at least one person smile. And that'll make you feel so good just to know that you've done that. I think that that's an amazing thing.
I love that.
Nice. Thank you so much for being on our show. We do like to end on a fun little cosplay horror story. Do you have one you want to share with us?
Oh, do I?
That's what I like to hear.
Well, let me tell you a story. Okay, so when I got my Superman suit back, my favorite one is my Christopher Reeve action costume suit. It's movie accurate. It's a beautiful suit, and it's so awesome. Like the boots are made of leather. It's just it's such a fantastic suit. So I emphasize that because of where I'm about to go and the fear that I felt for a little bit.
Oh no!
So I was doing some photos in that suit, right? And I had felt something in my boot, and I had felt whatever this thing was for, a couple times that I had done the photo shoot, and I never really gave it much thought. I just thought it had something to do with maybe the insert that was in there, the padding or something. I was like, oh, that's...
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm like, must be loose, whatever. I'm not going to pay attention to it. Not thinking maybe, Andrew, don't be an idiot. Actually look in your boot and find out what's going on. Nah, don't do that.
Oh, no.
So on this particular day, I took off my boot. I put my foot down on the floor, and man, I experienced one of the most extreme pains that I can ever remember in anything. And somehow, unknown to me, a toothpick had found its way into my boot. And yeah, you know where I'm going with this. So as I placed my foot on the ground, somehow it had gotten angled on my foot in such a way that I stepped directly onto that bad boy.
Oh, no.
It went about halfway into my foot. And I can tell you that I felt least like the Man of Steel that I ever had. Ever.
Oh, no.
It was a disaster. And there was a lot of cleanup. I will say that. I don't know who's sensitive to these things, but there was a lot of cleanup from the red things, right? It was, I swear to God, it was like the set of Saw or some kind of crazy horror movie. You come into my house and you're like, dude, this is Jack Nicholson from The Shining. Where are those two twins that he just murdered? Like, what's this guy doing? No, it was just all foot blood. It was great. And so, like, it's not just normal blood. Like, foot blood, just to me sounds like even worse.
It does.
It's not.
It's just like
blood.
awful.
It's
and
rain blood. It's fine.
Oh no,
it's fine. And it was just I was panicking, not only because I was freaking out because I was like at a 10 out of 10 in my pain level, but I was like, oh my God, this is a $3,000 suit and I'm bleeding to death in it. What's going to happen?
Oh no!
And the way that the pants are, the suit, they're like they have little footsies, so there's no opening in the bottom of the foot, so I'm like bleeding onto this suit. And so I had to think really fast. So like the tunic of the suit is attached to the brief, so that's all one thing. So I had to take that off and maneuver that over the foot in question, and then I had to get the pants off. And like I have no idea how there was no stains anywhere else on the suit except for on, like, even when I was taking the pants off, like the blood didn't trickle on any other part except for the foot. So I was like really excited about that. Also still kind of crying because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to cosplay anymore. Cosplay sucks.
No.
So, the positive is that I kind of learned how to get blood out of material. Thank God, EPC cosplay. Erin Carter, who I was talking about before, like I messaged her. I was like, dude, how do I get this out? And she's like, oh my God, I don't know. Try soda water. And I was like, all right. And it worked. Woo! Soda water worked, which was great. And absolutely, it was really great. Like you'd never know that it was there. And I guess, I learned out of that. I try to put a learning experience on everything is A, how to get stains out of a suit. B, always check your footwear. Like I live in Australia, right? And I've become a pro at checking my shoes because like Australia has spiders and snakes and everything that can kill you in 5 minutes. And a freaking toothpick almost brought me down. So like,
see that I was totally scared something was going to crawl out of your boots.
Oh, dude! So. I swear, one of my first couple weeks in Australia, there was like a huntsman spider in the car, and I didn't know what a huntsman was because I'm from New Jersey. I'd never seen one for whatever reason, and it scared the hell out of me. Like I jumped out of the car screaming, like it was awful. But they're not poisonous. But yeah, so that's that was a lot of fun for the whole family. Hope it never happens again. God bless us all.
So
I love that the universal cosplay response to bleeding is don't get it on the costume, don't get it on the costume.
Yeah, dude, I was like not going to be okay if I got blood on the like anywhere else but that. I would have freaked out and I would have been still rocking back and forth in a corner. And this was like months ago.
David's poor quiet mic.
No,
I'm sorry,
fine.
David.
You're totally fine. So I actually went to Australia a couple of years ago with my partner. And yeah, we went to a place called Upway. And we were visiting my father-in-law, and I didn't see any spiders the entire time. And everybody was like, hey, you're going to see spiders. You're going to see snakes. The whole country is trying to kill you kind of thing. And I was like, right. Yeah, okay. It's not that big of a deal. It's fine. And it was like the last day, 20 minutes before we get into the car, my father-in-law is doing some dishes real quick. And I see him jump back from the kitchen sink, and he calls to his wife, who... native Australian, and he goes, Sherry, I need you to take a look at this. And I thought like he cut himself because the way that he was holding like his hand. And she walked over to the sink and she goes, oh, poor dear, you boiled it alive.
Dear God.
This giant spider that's like 8 inches across.
No, I'm freaking out right now just listening to that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
They have nasty spiders here. You know the spider skulls in Ocarina of Time? I swear to God, I saw one of those in Queensland.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, 8 inches wide? And they boiled it? Did it scream? I bet it screamed. It must have screamed.
I don't know. I don't know. I was far enough away, and that was the only time that I had an interaction with the spider that's like, I'm leaving today. This is the perfect time to leave. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
I would have, if I had lived my life not hearing that story, David, I would have loved it.
When you come onto my show, you come attack me. I gotta retaliate in some way.
Dude, that's fair. I'll wear that. That's fair.
Well, Andrew, where can we find you one more time online? Where can our listeners find you?
Sure. You can find me at Melbourne Superman on Instagram, Melbourne Superman on Vero, or if you want to check out the podcast, you can check out Breaking the Barrier podcast on Instagram and Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, if you listeners at home would like to suggest a topic for us, tell us one of your cosplay horror stories, or just tell us how you're doing, you can email us at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
you can go to the website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, which I realized I forgot to say at the start of the episode.
It's okay, you got the Google form.
Yes, I did. I got the Google form. So you can fill that out, and that'll notify me, and I'll be like, oh, hey, look. Or
you can go to our Facebook page. Let us know your stories, your comments, your ideas. We would love to hear them on our Facebook page. While you're there, join our group. Join our Work in Progress Wednesdays. It is a blast. It is so cool to see what everyone is working on. And now that I'm done writing, I can start working on my cosplay again. It's so great.
Yay! David succeeded.
I did hit my goal. But not to divert this into the pat David on the back section. That's later.
There's always got to be a section for that, though. You do so much.
Thank you. But while you're on the internet, if you want to leave us a review, those help us out. Go to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever they let you. We'll give you a shout out on the show. And if you are in a place where you want to throw us a couple of bucks to make sure that we keep the show going and keep it in top quality, you can always go to patreon.com/cosplaystitch. Join our $3 tier, get a shout out on the show. Join our $5 tier and join our D&D where we stream a modded cosplay themed D&D thing. It's a lot of fun. It's so much fun.
It's way fun.
It's great.
Very excited for the next episode. Well, thank you as always for use of our theme song goes to Macy Roberts. And now it is Pat David on the back time because we want to hear about your podcasts.
Yes.
So Comic Trades Monthly, we are recording our Marvel versus DC movie bracket where we break down 100 different movies from both films from both companies and we put them head to head in a March Madness kind of style bracket. It's
nice.
taken us forever, but we're getting there. It's a lot of movies, you guys.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Wow.
And Dungeons and Chill, we are still going at it. We're still going strong. I'm even going back and re-uploading and remastering some of the audio. So if it was a little rough, and yes, those first few episodes are really rough. Just like Andrew said, you listen to that first episode. What happened here? What happened? So if you want to go back and listen to those, I wouldn't complain to some extra downloads.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. We love seeing you active on our Facebook group. We will see you next time. Until then, remember to be that positive change you want to see in your community, and we will catch you later. Bye, guys.
Work in Progress Wednesdays. Bye. Chronicles.
Oh,
So
too many C's at once.
Crispy Cosplay Chronicles.
Go ahead and salvage what you can of that, David. Goodness sakes. All right.